everybody, this week at A9 News Kids, we're going to be talking about the Russian mobilization in Ukraine, the Lava Cup and Roger Federer, the typhoon in Japan, and the mosaics found in Gaza. The country of the week is Chile, and the extra fun segment is all about the Mariana Trench. We are doing the Mandarin segment this week with a recap of everything we learned at the beginning, which was introducing yourself, basic greetings, and numbers. I really hope you enjoy. This week we are interviewing Mr. Dave Patel, an amazing person who works in Chicago in Mckinsey. I really hope you enjoy his interview and what he has to say. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share because we are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers and it would really help us if you could comment below as well. Thank you. The partial mobilization in Russia has got a lot of changes in the country. Many people have had to say goodbye to their families as the men have parted for war. But more people are trying to flee the country, are trying to get air tickets to fly abroad or go to the countries that are bordering Russia. There are long lines of traffic near the countries that are bordered with Russia. For example, in Kazakhstan, there are thousands of cars over there because people are trying to flee. Russia ordered 300,000 reservists to join the Ukraine war. And it only started with 100,000 at the beginning of the war, so this is a lot. President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine ordered on the Russians to protest against this partial mobilization this week. The Lava Cup night was a very emotional night for many tennis players and fans worldwide. The Lava Cup took place in England during the weekend, and it was a match between Europeans and international players. Roger Federer was playing his last match professionally this Lava Cup, and he played a doubles with Rafael Nadal. Unfortunately, they did not win, but it was still an amazing night because everyone cheered for Roger Federer and he also got a long standing ovation. Roger Federer is one of the greatest players of tennis in history and he's got millions of fans worldwide because of his way of playing and his amazing personality. Many other tennis players were also tearful, including himself, because this was his last match. One of the biggest typhoons hit Japan in a southern island called Kyushu. Kyushu is a southern island in Japan and it is one of the 4 main islands that make up Japan. Its population is 13 million people. This typhoon was one of the worst in Japan and there were terrible rains and winds. The winds reached a speed of 180 kilometers per hour, which is really fast. Many flights, buses, trains, and many more transport had to stop and be cancelled because of this. There was a little city called Kagoshima in Kyushu that had been hit mainly, and 4 million people were forced to evacuate their own homes. It looks like there will be landslides and mudslides after this typhoon. An ornate Byzantine floor mosaic was discovered in Gaza by a Palestinian farmer when he was trying to plant more trees in his farm. This mosaic was amazing and really old, and it depicted several birds, animals, and different parts of a social life. The farmer discovered it when he was digging the floor to see why most of his trees could not have deep roots. After some digging, he found that this flooring existed. The Byzantine Empire lasted from 395 to 1453. That's a long time. It lasted from when the Roman Empire split until its conquest with the Ottoman Empire. I really hope you enjoyed. Hi everybody, this week on the A9 News Kids, a Pure Career segment, we are interviewing Mr. Dev Patel, who works at Mckinsey. I really hope you enjoy his interview and what he has to say because his journey is really interesting. I really hope you enjoy and learn something new as well.
Yeah, happy to. Maybe I'll just do it in chronological order, and then you can ask a few questions as we go along. So I was born in India. I moved to Africa, I think, at the age of 2, to Tanzania, and then as a family, we moved around. So spent a few years in Tanzania, a few years in Zambia, and then ended up in Botswana. And I did most of my primary school in Botswana, 3rd grade to 6th grade. And then I did a couple of years in South Africa, and then came off and finished secondary school in Botswana.
Wow.
And came to the US for college and forgot to go back. And first started spent a couple of years at Motorola. I did engineering in school.
Yeah.
So I spent a couple of years at Motorola.
Wow.
And then when I was there, somebody said, hey, you kind of seem to like this business thing a little bit more than you like engineering. You may want to get an MBA. So I did my MBA when I was at Motorola part-time.
Yeah.
And then somebody said to me, hey, you kind of might enjoy consulting. So I applied to Mckinsey, and a good 13, 14 years I'm here at Mckinsey now.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's a long time as well. Could you tell me what you do in your job at Mckinsey, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me describe first what I do, and then I'll talk about the types of things I do.
Yeah, sure.
So at Mckinsey, I'm in the TMT practice, which is the tech, media, and telecom practice. And most of my clients are either technology clients, media clients, or telecom clients. And then functionally, I lead the M&A practice across industries in the Americas. So what does that mean? Typically for my clients in the TMT industry, we basically partner with them to completely help them rethink, reimagine, and aspire for holistic transformations. How can they do better in the markets that they play in, and potentially also expand into markets that they don't play in. So whether it's a revenue side transformation, cost side transformation, capability building program, or M&A work are some of the things I do for the tech clients. And then on the M&A side, we do a variety of things. Sometimes we help clients do diligences for potential targets. Even before that, sometimes we help them scan and identify, create their strategy for the area that they want to enter. We help them do diligences. And then if they've potentially acquired the company, and after they've acquired the company, we help them integrate it so that they, the two companies fuse into a well-functioning.
Wow, that's amazing. And quite a few things that are very varied.
Yeah.
And could you tell us a bit about your journey? Because you said you moved a lot around as a child, and what brought you to the US, and then a bit more on why you chose consulting.
Yeah. It's a good question. It's the first thing I'll say. It's we all tell our stories looking in the rearview mirror.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, it's a little bit of intent and a lot of luck. And I often say that I'm the Forrest Gump of my era, because I've fallen into a lot of things I never thought I'd fall into.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did I get into consulting? Like I said, part of the intro, I was an engineer. I would say I was a decent engineer, but not a great engineer. And I always just enjoyed thinking about business in terms of business models, business strategies, organizations, entrepreneurships and entrepreneurs. And I was always fascinated by that, just as a child, maybe slightly inspired by some of my family members.
Yeah.
And so, when the opportunity came around, like I said, I went to business school. And, it's funny, but like the school that you go to kind of matters, because every school feeds into different industries. At least it does in the US. So like, I went to a business school in the US called Kellogg. And I mean, not every person to a T, but the vast majority from Kellogg either go into like industry. So they go work at Unilever or Pepsi or whatever, one of these big companies, Apple, Amazon. But because I'd already worked at Motorola at that time for about 10 years, I thought I wanted to try something different.
Yeah.
So outside of the industry, my two options were not only two options, but the two big options were go into the finance industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that would be, I just didn't think that was me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I thought that. It was just a gut feeling. And then the other option was consulting. And then I met a few people that I really enjoyed, and here I am.
Wow. Wow, that's an amazing story.
Yeah, interesting journey. So, what do you enjoy the most about what you do? You said that you preferred business over engineering. So, what do you prefer in what you're doing right now?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I will say, I will say two things. Let me say one thing right at the outset. When I was younger, being an engineer was not valued. I don't want to say in the world, but probably true in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And engineers were looked as like people that sat in a dark corner and did something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that world has actually changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think changed for the better.
Yeah.
And I think this whole phenomenon called Silicon Valley and technology startups has changed that perception, where engineers are respected, are valued, are treasured, and thought of very highly. And I think that is, maybe 20 years ago when I was an engineer coming out of school, I would have done different things if the situation was then what it is now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you know this, but at Google, as an example, it's true of Apple, Amazon, and other places. At Google, if you're an engineer versus an MBA, you're actually more valued as an engineer. They have different pay scales. They have different, and the engineering pay scale and career trajectory is a better one and a more valued one.
Wow.
Which kind of makes sense, right? Because at the end of the day, the engineers actually create the
Yes.
things that we all touch, feel,
Yeah,
play,
use,
work
yeah.
with. Yeah. But anyways, so I think, so going back to my story, when I had just come out of school, I noticed at Motorola that, the business folks got a little bit more attention. They were a little bit more valued, a little bit more treasured.
Yeah.
And I also, so that was one part of it, but the other part was just my personal passions. I thought I would be, more interested and engaged on the business side of things. And that's what pushed me to the business side of the world.
Wow.
Wow.
That's amazing. And how did COVID affect what you do?
So pre-COVID, I would travel a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't travel as much. I'm sitting at home today. But so that's the most simplistic thing. What I will tell you though, coming out of COVID now, I think maybe maybe 50% of the travel I did was unnecessary in the past, and I probably won't do it going forward.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that I do travel now, and I will travel going forward. And I think the one thing that COVID has taught us is not that we can, I think on the surface, COVID has taught us we can work remotely. I think on the surface, COVID has taught us that technology matters. But I think what COVID has really taught us is that human connections, relationships, and our caring for each other really matters.
Yeah.
And I think that's if there's one thing that's changed in COVID is, even our professional relationships matter a lot.
Wow. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
And finally, what is your advice to kids?
I should have prepared for that question because I could have a couple of things. Look, first, work hard. I don't know, for those that you may be a little bit too young, there's this professor from NYU Stern, called Professor Galloway. He's a marketing professor. He talks about, which is counterintuitive, but I think I agree with it. Maybe not holistically, but I agree with it somewhat, which is first and foremost, work hard. Don't worry about work-life balance. That will come at the end. The sacrifices you make early on are very important. And then the benefits that come at the tail end compound, for those of you that are, that compounding, right? So it's just so I would say work hard. So that's number one. Number two, experiment. If there was one thing I could have done differently, is taken more interest in more things.
Yeah.
I was raised in a traditional Indian family. There was a lot of emphasis, not wrong, but there just was a lot of emphasis on the math and the sciences. But I think the arts are as interesting. I think the humanities are as interesting. If I could, human psychology is interesting, human behavior, human organizations, all of that is interesting. And in a funny way, it all comes back to scientific methods and relationships.
Yeah.
So first, work hard, stay committed, stay focused. Second, be more interested in more things.
Yeah.
Third, maybe build deep connections. Everybody that you meet will help you and make you better in some way. and I would go out of my way to build more connections earlier on in your lives, like what you guys are doing, right? Like you guys reached out to me, and but people always, the one thing I'll tell you that is that I wish I knew more of.
Yeah.
People always want to tell their story, and people always want to help. It's just in our human nature.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to ask, and build connections and get to know more people. And so those would be my top 3 things.
Wow. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for your
That
time
was great
today.
advice. Thank you. Le Chili est un pays de l'Amérique du Sud. Sa capitale est Santiago et sa population est de 19 millions d'habitants. Le Chili est l'un des plus longs pays du monde. L'Atacama Desert de Chili est l'un des plus secs au monde. Le Chili a 2 personnes qui ont remporté le prix Nobel de littérature. Le Chili a le plus haut gratte-ciel de l'Amérique du Sud. Le Chili est connu comme la capitale du monde pour l'astronomie. Il y a beaucoup de séismes à Chili. Il existe 6 sites patrimoine de l'UNESCO là-bas. Merci. Hi everybody, this week for the A&N News Kids Extra Fun segment, we're going to be talking about the Mariana Trench. I really hope you enjoy. The Mariana Trench is located in the western Pacific Ocean. It is the deepest oceanic trench in the world. It measures about 2,250 kilometers and it's 69 kilometers in width. Did you know that the Mariana Trench is deeper than Mount Everest? Challenger Deep is a place where it's considered to be the deepest. The trench is believed to be approximately 180 million years old. Scientist Jacques Picard and U.S. Navy Lieutenant Don Welsh were the first 2 people to visit the Challenger Deep in a deep boat. This happened in 1960. I really hope you enjoy these fun facts about the Mariana Trench. Hi everybody, this week for the A&N News Kids Mandarin segment, we're going to be recapping greetings, introducing ourselves, and numbers in Mandarin. I really hope you enjoy. It's been a really long time since we covered that, so I hope you remember something. Do you remember basic words like hello, goodbye, thank you, sorry, and you're welcome? We're also going to be doing my name is, my age is, and I live in. And then we're going to be doing numbers from 1 to 10. I really hope you enjoy. Let's start with the basic greetings and words. Hello, as you may all know, is ni hao. If we know ni hao, we also know how to say how are you. Ni hao ma. Ma means are you. So ni is you, hao is good, and ma is are you. So in reality, ni hao ma is are you good? Ni hao ma. Next, we're going to be learning thank you, sorry, and you're welcome. Thank you is 谢谢. You can also say 谢谢你. 谢谢. 谢谢你. When someone says thank you, you can say welcome by saying 不谢. Bu means no, and 谢 is stem from 谢谢. So 不谢 is like no thanks. 不谢, but it also means you're welcome. 不谢. 不客气 also means you're welcome. 不客气. 不客气. So if you want to say you're welcome, you can either say it as 不谢 or 不客气. Next, let's do sorry. Sorry is 对不起. 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 And finally, we're going to do 再见. 再见, which means goodbye. Now let's cover how to say introductions. My name is 我叫 and then your name. 我叫 Nitya. 我叫 Next, we're going to be doing I live in. 我住在 我住在 我 means I. 住在 在 means to be somewhere. 我住在 And my age is 我 the number and then 岁. So if I wanted to say I'm 13 years old, I would say 我13岁 because 13 is 13. 我13岁. Next, we're going to be doing numbers from 1 to 10. This one we've covered many times, so you hopefully remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are the numbers from 1 to 10. E is 1. E. R is 2. R. 3 is 3. 3. 4 is 4. 4. 5 is 5. 5. 6 is 6. 6. 7 is 7. 7. 8 is 8. 8. 9 is 9. 9. And 10 is 10. 10. I really hope you enjoyed this recap. 再见!